welcome to week 9 of Tuesdays with Tom. This is our, like I said, webinar number 9 for July 7th on Tuesday afternoon. This one's going to be how to best collaborate with a grant writer. So getting your communication style in place so that everything about your programs and all that is communicated with the grant writer so they understand exactly what they're writing about. And then we're going to talk a little bit about your documents that you need to share with that grant writer and kind of the templates and some of the boilerplate things that are good to put in place to make sure that you have a good experience and everything is copacetic and fast. So I'm going to share my screen here. Maybe. Yes, I will. All right. So like I said, how to best collaborate with a grant writer. All right. Let's move on. So you're going to treat your grant writer as a partner. You really want to bring them in to the organization. There are no secrets. You want to make sure that they know everything that you're doing. You're going to bring the facts about the projects, about the ideas, even the things that you're planning, your budgets, and what you think you're going to spend on things and that kind of thing. Make sure that they know that. Share the foundation early, provide your mission, your impact data, your past budget so they can make comparisons and say, wait a minute, this line item on the budget for this project is not working. So let's change it to what you already had in the past and you can move forward from that. So all of your old text is always good. So keep it, and then share that with your grant writer. Get grant ready first. So you want to make sure that you're ready for the grant when the grant appears. So you want to have your programming set up and kind of all the parameters. You're not going to have everything. It's not going to work that way, but you want to have your ducks in a row, kind of what you want to accomplish with the program before you move forward with even looking for a grant. So that piece has got to be in place. I've worked with organizations where they work the other way, and it's called chasing funding, where you go down the list, you say, oh, look at this grant. This is pretty cool. We should just develop a program for this. And a funder is going to see through that like nobody's business. They will completely see that what you did, and you are not going to get the grant. So be grant ready and be able to share that with your grant writer. Best ways to work together, share the details early. So like I said, give them the mission, the impact data, and your past budgets, and really share about your programming and what your planning is for your programming that you have set up. You know, you can throw out your ideas and things that you kind of have in mind, so your grant writer can think about future research and funding options and things if that comes to fruition. But really, just want to give the details of what you have in place right now, ready to go, so that you could just hit the ground running. Start your grant, once he has that information, he or she has that information, you're going to start your grant writing 30 to 45 days in advance. So the writer needs time to research, to draft, to check for errors, and rushing always leads to mistakes. And rushing, if you're working with online templates and portals with the funders, rushing often leads to something shutting down in the system and you can't submit on time. So 30 to 45 days in advance, give yourself plenty of time. And especially, if you have a new grant writer with you, somebody you haven't worked with before, the more time, the better. If you're looking at the government grants, I would start 6 months out to start to get that information kind of shared so that you have that, because it's just really, it's a lot. And it's a lot for somebody walking into an organization that hasn't been in there since founding and been working with the programming that's already existing. The next thing, you want to create a boilerplate file. So you're going to have, I just keep a file for every organization that I work with that has all the financials that I'll need, the board lists, the staff lists, how many volunteers, past project descriptions, all that stuff just ready to go. You can always change it. You can always rewrite it for whatever the funder is asking, and to kind of line up with their objectives and all that. You're never going to just kind of you're not going to cut and paste something in, but you want that base information so that you have it. And you want to definitely have things like your 501(c)(3) paperwork, and your W-9s and all that good stuff. So next, you want to agree on the scope of work. You can decide whether they only write or the programs, or you want to do research grants, or just make sure that that's clear, so that he or she knows exactly what's coming up, and they kind of know, because you got to shift gears. If you're doing a research grant, it's a whole different animal than working with a project grant. You're going to look at metrics with a project grant. You're going to look at impacts and things that happen, and your qualitative and quantitative data. But if you're looking at a research grant, you really have to know the models of research and all that good stuff. So make sure that that's clear. Provide clear feedback. Please review the drafts quickly, and then be specific about what you want to change. I have worked with organizations in the past that, they're not specific about that, and then they get upset because as a grant writer, you rewrite it according to kind of what was in that meeting or whatever. And they said, this is not what we wanted. This is not what we asked for, when they didn't ask for anything at all. So, yeah, just be really clear about that. Some of the digital tools you can use for the document sharing, just cloud documents like Google Docs is good. I like to keep, especially with the smaller organizations and starting out, don't spend a ton of money. Don't get this huge Asana thing, or it's not worth it in the beginning. You're not sure if you're going to even want it later on, and it's just going to be money that you didn't spend well, and not everything downloads really well. So you may have to end up in the end taking that data and just inputting it manually and getting an intern or whatever to do that. So in the beginning, just keep it simple. Your Google Docs, your OneDrive, put your documents in there, share it with everyone that needs to have it shared with them, and then you have it online for anyone to take it. And the thing too about the Google Docs, you can release that document and the changes are there. You can do it in comments, so you don't make changes to the text if somebody doesn't want that to happen. But it's in real time, and you're not sending a Word document back and forth, and then everybody's like, which iteration of the Word document was the last one that we were using? And it gets too confusing and convoluted. So do it, it's good to share those. I keep a separate file for myself, just on my my laptop computer, to have those documents in hard copy if I need them, in case something happens, in case somebody inadvertently deletes a document in Google Docs or whatever, then I'll have it. But it might not be the last iteration of that, but I'll have it. Project board. Yes, the file portal, that file that I told you about, all the IRS letters, all that stuff. You can put them in a Dropbox. You can put them in, if you use Monday, which is a less expensive one, or some of the other less expensive platforms. You can pop those documents in there so that you have them. Your project board, you can do stuff like I said, Asana on Monday, but don't get the expensive one if you're going to do that. Use the base model, and there's some, if your annual budget, organizational budget is lower, that's very inexpensive or free. And it's not going to have all the bells and whistles, but so what? You'll get, your basic stuff in there. And Monday, for one, I know you can download the entire document. So all of your task lists and everything, you can download those into Excel spreadsheets that you can use later, upload it into something else if you need it. So I kind of like that one. get a master calendar that you can share. So you can do that on Google also. It'll have all your deadlines, all your submission windows, and importantly, your reporting dates so that everybody knows exactly what needs to happen and when it's coming up. And you can hold each other accountable. So, grant writers, there's a lot on their plate and we forget, especially as I advance in age, forget forget things. So you definitely want to be in contact with each other like that. So you centralize your communications so that you're talking to each other, email threads, make sure that everyone that needs to be on those email threads is on there, that you don't miss anyone. And also make sure that you don't put people on there that don't need to be on there because they get upset with being inundated with a million emails too. Well, so you're just going to be cognizant of that. Uh, Meet 15 minutes a week to make sure that there's no bottlenecks and that everything's kind of syncing. And you want to make sure that the grant writer is in line with what you guys are doing. If something changes with a program, somebody drops out, somebody's not going to be a coach or whatever for one of your programs, then, they want to know that then so that they can put that into the proposal. Single point person, name one staff person to gather the files and prevent mixed messages so that you have all of the latest. You have your latest annual report if you do that, your latest 990, all that stuff is together and have that one point person able to get that. I've worked with some organizations that have they have a database, a server, and it's just everybody filed it differently. So to go and then find a document was like the worst jigsaw puzzle you ever want to try and put together because everything was just all over and it was like actually having like 10 jigsaw puzzles and trying to make one picture. So it was crazy. So just make sure that you have a single point person that's, especially for just the grant folder, that is putting those files and stuff in order so that they can be easily accessed. Sometimes a funder will reach out to you and want something and they want it now. So you want to be able to access that. So this is a good thing to do. You want to keep your review team small. You don't want to have 10,000 people going through the document and making changes to especially narrative text. I kind of keep that down to just kind of three main people. Otherwise, it gets very convoluted, and you just have a million voices in the narrative, and you can tell when you read it. The reviewers are going to read it and say, "What's this? I don't understand. This is conflicting." So you want to have the program lead, the project, whoever's in charge of that, to check for technical accuracy. The finance director is going to look at the budget and make sure everything aligns with what you need to your line items and everything that needs to fund that program. And that finance director could talk to the program lead to make sure that you have everything funded that needs to be funded. And then the executive director is going to give the final strategic sign off on those narratives before they're submitted. So you'll have a clear narrative going in. It won't have 12,000 people's voices in there, which is really a way to go. Otherwise, it's just very convoluted. So yeah. So how you want to do it? Days 1 through 10. So you're 30 to 45 days out. Days 1 through 10, you're going to have a meeting with the grant writer, the program lead, the finance director, and you're going to line all the goals and you're going to line all of the budget line items and the things that need to be in there. The next day 5 would be a content deadline. So the program lead sends the data and the finance director sends the draft budget. After that first initial kickoff meeting, they'll just kind of put together a preliminary budget and some of the base bullet points of what's going to happen with the program so that all that's in line first, and then your grant writer can start to write. You don't want the grant writer to be like Stephen King and be writing fiction. You want them to be writing from what is actually set to occur in the project. Outline approval, the program lead signs off on the writer's structural plan. So the writer's going to put together, the grant writer's going to put together a plan, a structural plan, start to put like little notes in each area coming off of what the RFP is, the funder's goals for that grant. And the questions that are in there, he's going to, or he or she, I keep saying he, I don't know, but they line those questions up and start to put some of the information that came from that initial kickoff meeting, bullet pointed into those sections. So you're going to have the program lead sign off on that everything's in the right place. Days 11 through 24 of the 30 to 45 days, you're going to have that first draft complete. So you want to have it that early to make sure that if there's any changes, because a lot of times it bounces back and forth quite a bit. And sometimes, things, you don't want drastic changes with the program because it really kind of throws what your goals are, what your objectives are into something else sometimes. So, but there are going to be changes because you don't know what you don't know sometimes when you're putting programs together. So you're going to have that narrative early. You really want to have that by day 18, so that you can really go back and look through and say, wait, this doesn't make sense, or this is not what we said, or whatever that is. So the next would be the 21st day would be program and finance review. So technical and budget edits are sent back to the writer. The writer will do a redraft on that so that everything that you kind of said, or the program person kind of said was missing or really needed to be deleted or whatever is done. And then that second draft is complete by the 24th day. Now, these are just estimates. It doesn't have to be in stone. But this is a great way to do it because you're going to have it way before you have to submit that proposal. And you really want that to be looked at quite a few times, especially that narrative, to make sure in the budget, to make sure that everything makes sense. And a lot of times there's a budget narrative too, and that's got to really coincide with what's happening within the narrative. So you have to look at both of those and make sure that those are correct and they coincide with each other, like I said. So the second draft will be complete by day 24. All of those changes are made and the text is polished up and pretty much ready for submission. Day 26, the executive director will read it. So don't give it to the executive director before that. They're usually very busy, depending on the organization. Sometimes the program person is the executive director, so you can't help it. But if you can avoid it, just keep it to the last. Because the really nice thing about it is they understand everything about the organization, hopefully, and they're going to take a fresh perspective on that when everything is kind of polished up. So they'll take that and it'll be new eyes on it, and they'll be able to look things over and say, well, I know this works and this doesn't kind of work. So that goes on to for 2 days to day 28, which would be the final polish, where the writer fixes any last minute executive director notes, and hopefully that's not too much. Day 29, you're going to put everything together. So the grant writer can work with the point person that you designated to help to get all of that information to make sure that all of your attachments are set, ready to go. All of your letters of recommendation, the signatures, make sure that the W-9 is signed, all that stuff is ready to go into the portal for login. For submission. And then finally, day 30 will be the submission, or day 45, depending on how you laid that out. You'll have a final sign off and official submission. Please, at least 24 hours before the hard deadline. And I've seen it with grants.gov a lot, where everybody's going on at the same time to submit their proposal, and the site crashes. So if you do it 24 hours before, you're going to get it in. It's going to be fine. But if you go down to the last minute, you risk that crashing, and then it's bye-bye opportunity and all that work. So your readiness roadmap. So your core team matrix is the CEO is the strategist. They set the overreaching goals and the long-term vision. The data source is the program director. We've talked about all these people before. They supply what the participant counts, the success stories, the local statistics, all that stuff is provided by that person because they know it. They're in there doing the attendance, they're doing all of those numbers, so they know. And the CFO treasurer or your finance person provides the organizational budget and the project expense sheets and the project budget. So you want to set up your do-it-yourself grant drive. This is where you keep all of your things. Folder 1 is, like I said, the IRS determination letter, your 501c3 status, your 990 tax forms, your W-9, all that stuff goes in there. The folder 2 is financials, and these are kind of your boilerplate documents, the things that you want to just keep holding and ready to go at any time because a funder can ask for any of these at any time. So your financials are your current annual operating budget and your audited financial statements, probably for the last 2 years. So your 990, or if you do an annual report, that would be that too. Folder 3 is your governance. So you want your board of directors with their affiliations and make sure that you keep that that's kept up to date one way or another. If it's the internal person within the organization or the grant writer, yeah, I've done it both ways. You want to keep that way up to date because board of director members leave. Things change within the board, so you want that. And along with governance, I just throw in staff because I think you want to keep that together. It's just. It tends to, when they ask for the board of directors list, they ask for the staff list. So I just kind of keep that in there and I just keep that up to date along with the volunteers. It's not a bad idea to put that out there. If the volunteers are okay with their names being listed, because some of them want to remain anonymous. And then in the governance folder, you want to add your bylaws. So that those are available to provide to the funder if they need it. Folder 4 is kind of your master narrative. It's drafts of your mission, your history, your program description. What I like to do is I just set up an Excel spreadsheet, and then I just put history, and then I'll do 3 or 4 different kind of histories that put it in different contexts that I can pull from. So I know I understand what happened at different times. Sometimes they don't want it all the way from the beginning. The funder doesn't want it all the way from the beginning. They want it for the last, 5 years. So you can pull that out that way. And then your program descriptions change from year to year as you go through and you do your evaluations. It's like, well, this didn't work in the program. We're going to take that out. We're going to change it to this a little, like that. So that's why I keep it as an Excel spreadsheet, because then I can make those changes in there and then it's current and then I can just use from there. So that's kind of how I do that my drive, and that keeps everything really in good shape and really accessible. So the funder checklist, you want to gather the information that again, you can put this into another folder, which is not a bad idea. Some of these are the frequently asked questions from funders that they need. If you have a strategic plan, generally it's 3 to 5 years, 2 to 5 it can be, showing your long-term viability and what you're planning to do in that period, and your what you want to see happen with the organizations, their growth with the infrastructure, Are you building capacity? Are you adding staff that's capacity? Or whatever that is for the strategic plan and how that's going to help your organization grow. But that's a good thing to have. Uh, it's a really funders look at that but very positive if you have that available for them. Impact report, this is a great thing to have because to have it accessible, so you know exactly what your impact is year to year, and then you can make an infographic showing just juxtaposing year to year. So you can go 3 years back and say, well, program started here, we had this many participants, and just show that growth over the 3 years. And it's a simple chart. It's really easy to do, and that's a great little tool to just pop in there, and it's not very hard to do. So, and then your operating budget. You really want to break out your income and your expenses. Don't make it crazy though. Some people, oh my goodness, it's like it'll have, I've seen them with 10, 15 tabs on the bottom of an Excel spreadsheet. It's like then nobody is going to go through that. So if you want to do that for yourself, fine. And if it works for you, that's fine. But definitely simplify, add another tab and just say funders or something. That would be the one that you submit to funders because you're going to just simplify it for them. You're going to put your line items in there, but you're going to group them together. You're going to say, project A, and then give a number rather than having project A on tab 7 with 16 different line items. So you just kind of bundle those together and make it a little bit easier to read. You can always elaborate for the funder if they ask for it. And you can also say in your budget narrative, we have more information if you need it. So it's easier to give them less, especially when there's a lot of community foundations where there's people that are reading those proposals that are not professional, evaluators and things. So they're just looking at it, and the simpler the better for that. Because like I said, you can always elaborate. So that's it. Your reusable boilerplate. So again, with the organizational history, how and why your nonprofit was funded. Just 1 to 2 paragraphs, just really simple. It's kind of your elevator speech as far as the history of the organization. You can write up your statement of need, what your constituents, what your community faces, backed by data, and that's really short, 2 to 3 paragraphs. Just exactly what you've noted going on with whoever you're serving and those problems that are being faced. Another thing, and it's really come more prevalent now, is your diversity statement. So how your board and your staff reflect the community you serve. If you're working with ranches and things like that, is everybody a ranch owner, or is everybody, does everybody work in barns and things just like that, or like with indigenous communities, how many of your staff and board are Native American or whatever that is. So you just want to have that statement. That's probably started just before COVID. I would think it really got a lot bigger, and I don't know how I feel about it. Sometimes I'm okay with it because I just think that the best person should do the best job for what needs to be done. And sometimes with working with diversity, that doesn't always happen because you're putting somebody maybe less qualified than somebody else. But I see both sides of it. All right, so your first steps. Do you have your 501c3 determination and current board list saved in one place? So that's one of the first things you want to do. Plus all those by the way, this will be available on my website. You can go back through, and then if you just want the PowerPoint with all the text, just let me know, and I can send that to you. Second is, what specific community need or program are you looking to fund first? And that's what you want to have in place before you start to look for the grants. You want to have the project in place and what is the need that you're gonna you're looking for. Don't do it the other way. Don't, because the funders know, they can tell. Yeah, so if you have these in order, you're ahead of most other applicants. So in conclusion, we made it. Effective grant writing requires an organized internal system, a dedicated team, and a proactive preparation of foundational materials. 30 to 60 days in advance. Please prepare early. Get the grant ready before the opportunity appears. Get grant ready. So be ready to do it. So if you have all these pieces in place first, it's a piece of cake when you go in and look, because there's a lot of the questions in the narratives are really they're worded differently, but they're similar. So a lot of times you can just, if you have this stuff, you can form fit it to what the funder's asking for and kind of the funder's mission and vision, but you will already have the information and it's just kind of moving things around a little bit. Build your team, make sure everyone knows what everyone is doing, and everyone else knows what everyone else is doing, so that there's a chain of command and you know who to expect what from and when to expect it. Yeah, put timelines on everything, by the way. Use shared tools, keep the documents in OneDrive with a clear workflow. Like I said, don't throw it up willy-nilly into a server or whatever where people don't know where it is and you're asking 10 people, where is it? Why isn't it here? What is it named? I can show you how I name things too. I do it very carefully. I put the year, I put the month, I put the day, and then I put the name of the document. I do that on everything so that I know, first off, I know it didn't happen in 2025 because it's 2026 on the first, pull up of the file. So I'm really meticulous about that kind of stuff because I need to know where it is. And then reuse your language. Don't cut and paste, but maintain a boilerplate library to streamline your submissions so that you're basically saying the same thing. You're going to change, a little bit about it when you're looking at the vision and the mission of the funder and what they're trying to achieve. And you can put those pieces in there, but your program doesn't change. It stays the same. So you want to maintain that boilerplate library and keep that stuff the same, unless you go through evaluation from the last year to this year, and the program changes. But then make that the new boilerplate. Don't just kind of write things off the top of your head like that. So you really want to keep it clear so that everyone is saying the same thing. And, if somebody gets questioned by a funder, they're going to say the same thing too, and they're not going to confuse the situation. So that is it for today. I know that was a lot of information. You can contact me if you have any questions. That's my phone. My email's there. My website is there. All of these Tuesdays with Tom webinars are on there. So you can go in there and review, and then please ask me questions. And as I've said before, if you have something that you're dealing with within your organization, with your fundraising, you can reach out to me. I have a lot of experience. I've done a lot of fundraising outside of just grants. I've done some big galas and things like that, and I know what works. So you guys can reach out to me. Please do. So we'll see you next week. I don't remember exactly which one next week is. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry. It is going to be sponsorships. So we're going to talk about sponsorships, how to get them, and, well, what they are, and how to get them, how to reach out to the corporations to be able to get those for your fundraising events. So that's it for today. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.